We're back. Hello, friends. We are back with episode 23 of Learn TA with Landy. Crypto Landy is here to instruct us on some of the past, to go over some of the past things we've learned and see if we are ready to start trading. I do want to remind everybody that this is for educational and informational purposes. We are not providing financial advice. We will be providing some ideas and concepts for which you can do your own research and make your own decisions. Just make sure that you're not investing money you cannot afford to lose. Any investment has risk, and it's up to you to make sure that you're taking into account your own risk tolerance, and you can handle what you're getting into. We want to make sure that our community stays safe. We're providing this information for you to be able to make good decisions, educated decisions, but it's important that you follow the rules and make sure that you're being careful. We don't want to see anyone lose. We don't want to see anyone get hurt. That's important to me. It's important to Landy. With that being said, I am going to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Crypto Landy, the puppet himself. How are you today, sir?
What's up, brother? It's good to see you. Peace. I always look forward to the Tuesday Learn TA with Landy and Peace Love Music here, because look, this is my passion, right? And part of that is understanding and helping other people understand, rather, how to really not just chart, but read the market and kind of understand where things are going and form a thesis, right? And that is something that most people don't do before they head into the actual market. So they end up heading in based on what they see on the timeline, or a feeling they get when they're looking at the chart, going, well, it has to go up or it has to go down. And evaluating is the actual key, right? And that's primarily what we've been doing since the beginning. And as we continue to hammer home those points, now it's all about how to actually think about how you're going to get in and take advantage of the setups that you're seeing. So once you start getting more familiar with charting and analysis, then you have now a good base for your thesis on where things could go. And then you can start making conditions based on what you're seeing. Well, then how do you take advantage of that and trade it? And that's what we're going to start moving into, slowly moving into. But today is going to be about, well, are you actually ready? And what can you do and what should you be doing to make sure that you're ready to get started? And that's where, we can, let's get a screen up here. Share the screen, and that's where we can go right back and start with the chart. And that is, you have to start with the chart because that's the basis of how you're going to trade and identify the trade setups, right?
You know what? Let me ask you something. Do you prefer this version, or is it better with us lower, but you got a little bit more larger?
I would say let's ask the audience. Let us know. You can switch back to the other view.
Do you prefer this view with the bigger chart? We're covering that bottom corner, and it is actually relevant, your opinion too, because you're the one that's playing with the chart and showing people. So, or on the side, you can see the full chart, but it's a little bit smaller. And really, if you guys have any feedback on that, certainly would appreciate it. By the way, hello, yes. Copious Maximus. What's up, Tar?
Honestly, I'm looking at it on the stream, and this view looks pretty good.
Yes, Copious Maximus actually agrees that this one's that's a good one. This one here. So we'll leave it here, and if anyone has strong opinions about it, we'll adjust accordingly. But do let us know.
Yeah, definitely, please. And one of the big things that we've been hammering on and talking about a lot is, the analysis portion of trend, support and resistance, volatility and momentum, how to set the chart so that you understand what's going on, and how you can identify areas of interest to the upside and downside. We've talked about then, invalidation of your thesis, right? If you think that price is going to go up, where's the invalidation? What's the confirmation? How do you confirm your thesis? And it's all based on conditions, right? So one of the big key things when learning or starting to learn how to trade and actually getting in and doing it is going to be, okay, I have to set conditions now based on what I'm seeing. And you can jump into a chart. A lot of people go lower term time frame. They'll jump into the chart and they'll see this and they'll be like, well, I mean, well, this is ugly, but this was only on Coinbase for some reason, this particular 15-minute candle. But, you'll see somebody, okay, right here, I want to get into a trade. And that might not be the most optimal area to get into a trade, right? They're going through their indicators. Okay, trend looks like, we've got, it set a higher low and then it broke to a lower low. And therefore, we're in a trend break. I'm going to take the next, trend reversal setup or the next couple of candles, right? And because momentum is down and there's bearish divergences, which to be fair have played out for the most part. We'll see if we get some more, but that's not really the optimal way to just go in and start trading, right? And the best way is to have your chart set so you understand the context of the areas that price is trading in, right? So here on the weekly, we have some really key areas to pay attention to, right? We have the top side of the structure here, and this top side of the structure is the all-time high and the closing all-time high here, right? So we have to know where that stuff is because they're major higher term time frame levels of interest, right? So overhead of price, we've got a pretty major area. And then we've got another area just below price action right here with the last weekly higher high. And that's where we want to understand, kind of what price is doing in these areas and then what it can potentially do outside of these areas, right? So when we set a chart like this, for instance, we've got kind of the stoplight setup. We can see that, we've got our support area that we would want to see as a support area.
I hate interrupting you, Landy, but I wonder if you can help our friend. Copius Maximus is asking, what's Elliott wave, as my real name is Elliott? So
Elliott wave analysis is just a type of analysis, and this is not going to be the place to get into Elliott wave trading or GAN trading or any of the theories. It's a trading system. So if you do want to get into Elliott wave or GAN or any of the other popular trading systems, you can build off of that based on what I've been talking about here, because every system at its core is trend, support and resistance, volatility and momentum. And these are just entire trading systems that incorporate these things with, set patterns and in Elliott wave, the different wave analysis for the trend and Fibonacci levels of interest and Fib extensions and Fib retracements and all that kind of stuff for Elliott wave. GAN operates a little bit differently, but also incorporates Fibonacci's and different pattern structures. And then you've got many others, right? And what I'm doing here is setting you up with a base that you could trade from. And if you find a preferred system after researching it, which Elliott wave is a very deep system to get into. And there's some that find a lot of value in it, but you can start with a system that is just very basic and you don't necessarily need to, you don't need to go further if you don't want to. I trade volatility setup. So I have kind of focused a lot on the trend, support and resistance and volatility as they relate together and you find confluence together, which is one of the reasons why my analysis is pretty accurate, is because I incorporate volatility very heavily in my system. And it's a basic system and it's very easy. And then the first three create the fourth, which is momentum. And all of these systems have that incorporated in one way or another. So take what you learn here. And if you start researching a system, understand that all of those four keys, trend, support, resistance, volatility, and momentum, is incorporated into all of them. And then you find the system or experiment with the system that works best for you.
Yeah. And thank you for taking the time for that. He asked, why is it called Elliot? I believe I can answer this one. It's because the guy that invented it was a huge fan of the movie E.T.
We can go there. I actually don't remember. I believe it was because of who. It was the gentleman that created the system, if I remember correctly. It's like Bollinger Bands, John
That
Bollinger.
might be right. That might be.
And I forget the actual name of
But
the
I love
gentleman.
the E.T.
So,
all right. I'm sorry for derailing, but thank you,
all good.
Pokius, for the questions. We always appreciate that. Guys, do drop. No, it's not true that well, maybe he was a fan of ET. I can't really confirm or deny that. But guys, if you do have questions, please do drop them in the live chat. No need to be sorry, sir. We appreciate that.
No worries. But to kind of get back to what we're focusing on here today, is one of the big things is go to the higher term timeframes, and you have to understand kind of the lay of the land when it comes to the auction, right? Because price is a live auction, we want to understand where the major areas of interest are. So those are going to usually be on, monthlies and weeklies, and we can start at a weekly. That's actually a pretty good starting place for most of the lower term time frame trading, for finding the macro areas that are going to be relevant to your trades that you're trying to find the setups for. And in this case, I always advise that you mark them out on the weekly, and you can use a specific color. We'll use white and then the stoplight stuff here, just to show that on the lower term timeframes we have our areas of interest. So essentially what we want to do is we want to go through and we just want to set our chart. It can be a new chart, and if you have a chart that's really cluttered, it's good to go back and do this every once in a while either way. And once you have the major areas of interest kind of around price, you'll notice there's nothing above the green zone but volatility levels of interest. We could potentially mark those, by the way. And in fact, if you want to do that, you can throw a horizontal level if, like, you want to mark the upper second here at $125,000 as a major area, and we can make it like a Bollinger Band color, which in this case is going to be teal. And that's at, roughly 125K. And the upper third is up here at 138, and that's a purple level, right? And we can move down to something like a daily, right? And I think that it's important to just have the lay of the land. Now we can look at the daily and say, okay, where are things on the daily? And, we want to first identify the trend, right? So, like, let's say we haven't been consistently trading Bitcoin. So we want to identify the trend and say, okay, it's an uptrend. Right now we do have a lower high. We did not get a higher low close, but we did get a higher low swing to a lower high, lower low close. And because we have a lower high, if this sets, this would be about an equal low, but possibly lower low close. Right. So we do have a little bit of a swing downtrend. It's a little muddy because the trend isn't clear. Bitcoin is mean reverting. And we know that because it's headed back to the mean and it's headed down. So we have the mean here for our Bollinger Band set, which is a basis band, which is a 20 simple moving average. Right. So we're reverting back to the mean, which is price going sideways while the basis moves up. In this case, we have some areas of interest that we can immediately identify that are confluent on both the daily and the weekly in the overhead area of interest. So we have the weekly close just overhead at the 119. And then we've got, of course, the all-time high there at 123. And that is the big weekly zone, and it's become a daily zone of relevance, right? So we see that we've had price close outside of it, set the closing high on the daily. We had the swing higher low we swung up into this area for a lower high swing and then closed essentially right around the weekly close open. And this is going to be very important. Most recently, the weekly is opened here and then went down, right? So we are now retesting that area. So this would be an important area, big weekly level to regain. We also see that this is the upper first standard deviation. So now we're getting a thesis put together of like, okay, what is the condition if we do see this weekly and the daily upper first start to get broken above around 119.5 or so? Well, we need to see a daily close above this area at around, we'll call it 119.8, 120. That would look good to set the daily low and the swing low. And likely, based on that, we could at least in lower term timeframes look back to, this is around 120 on the daily closing highs. We can probably look back to like 120 to 121, right? So locally, we have some areas of interest, right? And essentially, we can say from this area here on the daily, we'll make it purple. Or I was just going to say blue, but the darker colors don't show up well. We're going to make it salmon. There it is, salmon. We're going to go with salmon colors because it does show up a little bit better on the green. All right, so we have this area of interest or a level of interest in here. We can fill this box in and say, okay, this is now a daily area of interest, and we can make that one purple and see what kind of color it shows up as. Blue, as the colors do mix when they overlay. So now we've got a weekly area and then a daily area just above it that is of interest. And we know that if we start to see Bitcoin trading above around 121, well, the high at 123 is a very likely candidate to be hit to that upper second standard deviation, which is around $123,000 to $124,000. If we start closing above 123 and moving that upper second standard deviation up or closing above it, we can then look to that big weekly upper second standard deviation around 125. So this is just pure analysis right now. But this is all prepping our thesis because we need to know if we're going to, if we see something happen and conditions are met, are we going to take a trade? Or are we going to, in the dailies, if the lows hold and get retested, are we positioning, right? So at this point, the daily area to the downside is right here, right? So we've got a big daily area right here to the downside that we need to be aware of. And we're going to get our salmon colored support and resistance lines there. Shout out to Dave. He got me on the salmon or coral colored.
I remember like 2 months ago, he was on a live stream and he was talking about the shirt color he had on, and I made a comment in the live chat at the same time him and his co-host were saying that it was salmon colored, and I guessed right. I was accurate as well.
Yes. And I think it was a flip flop between coral or salmon.
Right.
It was definitely a salmon color. Yeah. But now our salmon bottom here and our salmon local top here.
Bottom.
Salmon bottom. Oh no, this is going off the rails already. That's okay. But we know, okay, based on where the daily levels are, right? There's trade setups to be had within this consolidation. And now that we've got this marked out, we can say, okay, if Bitcoin starts to drop 117,300 or so, which is we see an order block candle, we see a close open low that might be, looking to be set, definitely a swing low if it closes like this today. I need to see closes above this swing high at basically 120. 119.8 would do it, but 120 is kind of where I want to see things close above. And then it's a short stint to go and try to test 121. If we start seeing closes, then we're moving up. If we start to move down into this zone, it's really this low here at around 115,700 to the basis band that I'd be paying attention to initially, which is about 115 to 115,700. So there's my thesis, right? So now I have a weekly area of interest. I know that if that drops, I'm looking 112 to 109. There is a daily upper or lower first standard deviation right around some of the highs here at 110 that's relevant as well there. because it's around support and resistance. It's right here at this swing high prior to the breakout. So we know that we have, 110, 500 within this zone, but it's not relevant to us right now unless we were trading a breakdown, right? And that's where then we have to go. We have our thesis. We have our areas of interest. We can check on things like momentum. Okay, there's no real bearish divergences here for this trending structure. Yes, there is some that could be thrown from other prior trending structures, but there's no in-trend bearish divergence right now. We do know that if we were to look, we've got, basically above setting a daily low would turn momentum back up in the context of the bullish control zone, right? So we have enough information to say, okay, my thesis is if we close above this high right here, momentum will shift back to the upside, and we're likely going to, but that's on a daily, right? So 119,800, if we close above there, we're going to shift daily momentum. We will not only do that, but also be setting a closing low in addition to the swing low that swung the lows already and tapped liquidity in this area around this bottom side of the consolidation. So that's our thesis, right? So now we can move down a time frame to like the 12-hour and say, okay, let's refine this and let's see, what other information can we get from something like a 12-hour? Yes, I'm watching the chat, by the way, guys. I see you.
I
Silly.
would try not to mess up your flow, man.
Oh no, it's all good. I see them. I see them. But I know exactly who that is. I know who that is. What's up, Bob Toshi? I went and had to go look at the username. So what we can look at here, which is going to support our thesis for upside and downside on the 12-hour is very, very clear. If we close above 121, right, we are looking at being above the upper second standard deviation after a big expansion to a compression. So if we close above the upper second, doesn't do too much. That's at 125.50 or so. But if we were to close above the upper second and 121, 12 hours in expansion. At minimum, we're looking for, 122 and above. The upper third would be moving up. And that's just based on experience. If we were to close above 121, that would be above the upper second, kicking off expansion to the upside here. And then we'd see the upper third. So we'd be looking right around this high on the 12-hour at 121,500. So we know that if we see 121 closed above, that we're going to get a move up that's in volatility and expansion into this close open high at 121.5. Anywhere above there, we're moving up 123 with the opportunity to expand above it to about 125, maybe more. So 12-hour supports our thesis that we're seeing on the daily. And in fact, it's going to be an early indicator if it does start to break out above 121 on expansion and, more importantly, hold above it on closes. We also know to the downside, we see the lower second is right in our daily zone right there at about 116.5. If we start breaching below 117, we're going to likely go and see that tested again, right? And anywhere below there, we're getting expansion into this low right around where the lower third is. So we're going to see lower second would be expansion into the actual low. And anything outside of that would be below the lower second and third while breaking down, meaning that we'd likely get expansion down on closes. By the way, this is all closes. We'd likely get expansion down to support somewhere in this no man's land, right? Get expansion down here, and we just monitor it if the move were to happen from there. So if you're trading swing trade setups and you think that this is going to hold and we've got X amount of tests and momentum is turned and we're, getting hidden bullish divergence up here, you already got into this trade based on the 12-hour alone, right? As it was chopping around, starting to turn, and then this final dip in here. This final dip in here, in fact, momentum was already turned. Bullish divergence was already confirmed as of the prior candle. And this would have been a bidding area if you were a 12-hour swing trader. and your risk would have been, outside of the bottom of the range, likely, or right at the bottom of the range, depending on your risk profile. And that's just that would be, your swing trade setup. But the thing is what you're doing is you're validating your thesis. You can go down to some lower term timeframes like the 4 hour, and you start validating your thesis. And then you have to start thinking about these conditions and invalidations. And we are stressing as to whether or not, what I'm stressing here today is as I'm going down the time frames. Most people go to the lower term. We're taking from the weekly, relating that to the daily, the 12 hour, the 4 hour, and then we're working down the time frames to find, if to validate our thesis and find the invalidations, right? And in that way, we have information to put into a trading plan and a trading setup. And we can start talking about that here in just a moment. But one of the big things here is on the 4 hour, you can see it's just a big consolidation. And right now it is basically trendless. We had a lower low close with a lower low swing to a higher high trend break to a lower low close with a lower low swing to possibly a lower high swing with a lower high close. We don't know. The only way that this is going to close the lower high now is if we see it trade back below around 116.9, 117 area. That's where it would set the high as a lower high. So right now we don't have any clear setups on the 4 hour, but we do know based on the 4 hour, if we start trading back above the highs here, right, and start breaking back above, 120, we would be in expansion on the 4 hour, which would start to paint the picture that we're going to start looking at that 12 hour again. If we start getting expansion into that 12 hour upper second at 120.5 and breaking above on a 4 hour, then we're likely going to see expansion to 121 and above. Same for the downside. We start pushing into the lower end. I'm breaking down. We're probably going to trade, breaking down from 117.3. We'd likely trade down to the lower second, expansion into the 12 hour lows. And then you get 4 hour expansion that results in 12 hour expansion into the low. If it breaks down, you're getting continuation, right? So you're just looking at these things that build. So the lower term time frame builds in through expansion to the upside or downside that could result in expansion on the 12 hour. And now you need to find what is, so now you've got all of those validations and invalidations, and we set the stage for positioning on lower term timeframes. So now we understand the lay of the land. We understand that we're trading within a range. We understand the very clear areas of interest to the upside and downside that could kick off expansion into the local area highs on the daily and local area lows on the daily. You can see that most of the moves for today have likely run themselves out, and setups are going to be kind of either bearish or bullish here, probably bearish in the short term. We'll see. And then we can start looking at the hourly. We can see we don't have a clear setup. We did have a nice clear setup here that failed, right? It was an expansion to the top side and then would have taken out any kind of person that went long there. So that would have been a clear, bounce off, test support down here after consolidation. It gets tested a few times, start getting expansion to the upside. Most traders would have taken this expansion to the upside after consolidation, right? Most would have taken this setup, and this is likely what they would have done. And now we start getting into how people typically think about positioning. So when somebody sees the low come in here, right, and they start seeing the expansion, say they get in on this candle earlier, the back test or the open on lower term timeframes, and then they put their stops, somewhere around this low or somewhere around this low, and they want to take and ride it up to some of the overhead resistances. Maybe they've got an overall target up here, and they're in a 1-to-1 trade, which isn't a very good trade. But this is for the sake of argument, depends on where they're positioned. We can give them a little bit of room. Maybe they're monitoring the setup that was showing on the 15-minute and lower term timeframes. Maybe they're getting themselves into a 1.87 risk to reward ratio or a 1-to-2 ratio or a 1 as to 1.5. Who cares, right? But the point being is this was a failed setup if they were looking to come in and hit the weekly to daily zones, right? Now, why did it fail? It failed because things sold off from the start of the session in the early morning hours. It ramped up and then sold off, and then hit and closed right on the supports, and then went up and hit this area. So it was basically it was liquidity hunting to the downside and then to the top side, downside, top side again. So we have liquidity hunting going on within the range, trying to free up liquidity. And that would have been a failed setup, right? So these can be very, very difficult to trade. So when you look at something like a trade setup like this, invalidation would have been hit, person would have been out of the trade. It goes against them. People usually FOMO in. You can see how the bands are expanding. It just went from one side of the bands to the other. Then as we get volatility expansion, one side of the bands test it, and then right to the other, and then even throw a wick down, right? So what we're getting is as volatility compressed, it increased to pick up liquidity within the range, and it's really just spanning the daily range. So we're trading within a daily range, and this is not easy to trade on a daily time frame where you have price just whipsawing back and forth without clear trends. It can be very frustrating for newer traders, and that's where if you're positioning on a higher term time frame, for instance, you're positioning based off of the run of the daily low side structure here on the 12-hour and all of the swings into it. If you're positioning based on the 12-hour, giving you your edge of reversing off the lower second and failing to close below at a support, and now you're positioning on the 12-hour, you stayed in your trade this entire time, because your trade would have been more like this. Let's say you're positioned somewhere in here on lower term time frames, and I'm just going to give an example because you position on lower term time frames, not on the closes. Typically you'll position, and then you got your stop outside, and let's say you're just looking for the bands to get run, so you got a risk to reward ratio of 2, which is 1:2.
How many days is this?
This is 3 days, I believe. No, we've got one. Well, headed down, we've had like 3 days. So it's been 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. But it's really been
the open of this was way back
on the 20th. It's 2 days ago.
Oh, okay. I think I missed.
So as price was headed down, we're looking at this low side structure. And if I'm looking at it on the 12-hour, this was the low that was set. The lower high is over here. We're coming down to this low side structure and running the daily zone and failing to close. And you see how we were moving from expansion into compression. So unless we start closing below the lower second, now we can even test down into the daily lows, but unless we close below, I'm not looking for expansion much further. Only if we start closing below the lower second, I'd be looking at expansion into the lows and lower, or to the top side. So, I'm going to tell you, this is actually I took this trade. So as price came back down, I took a 12-hour swing trade on this, and it oscillated around, as price was here and kept failing. Yesterday, I started to open a position in this area on the daily low side structure. Now it even closed in the lower low.
I'm trading on the 12 hours, and I know it's all price dependent and what your strategy is and where you're expecting to take profits and where you would cut. If you were to stop loss. But how many days would you generally expect to be in a trade?
A swing trade is going to be over 24 hours.
Over 24 hours, but is that why you're going
24 hours to
versus a shorter trade would be a lower time frame that you're working with?
Shorter trade would be less than 24 hours.
Anything less than 24 hours.
It's a day trade. Less than 24 hours, yeah. Is a day trade.
Trade is more than 24 hours, but is there you would just hold it indefinitely if it didn't hit your numbers in either direction?
I mean, if I'm in profit and I feel like I need to reposition that trade, I will, right? And I'm in profit on the trade. And if I felt like, hey, things are going to come back at me and I have a chance to reposition, or my thesis might be invalidated, right? For this trade, I'll take profit and then still stay in it, see if it hits the stop. In some cases, it really depends. But the positioning for this particular trade was based on my thesis that was not just the daily, but it was the daily area of interest. So it was actually, once we started, we had a wide berth on the daily here. So there's actually another little salmon line we can put up here, and we can see that on the daily. So now the picture has changed because we have a lower low close, right? But realistically, on the 12-hour here, what I'm looking at is the 12-hour setup, right, as it relates to the daily. And you can see that here we really had the daily higher low as or the daily closing area of interest was at 118. And then we did get a lower low close on the daily. Why wasn't I concerned? Why was I willing to bid? Well, because we were moving from expansion into compression. And you'll see here on the 12-hour, we did not close. We did not close below the 12-hour, the 12-hour closing higher low. So because we did not, and this is a bit of a counter trend trade, but it's based on a lot of information that we already know and have. And that is primarily because I'm a volatility trader. I'm looking at the volatility setup. We moved from high volatility to low volatility. And you can see that as the daily was swinging into this 12-hour area where we then set the daily low, right? As of the prior candle, right? So we set the daily low in this area on a close open. And that's where we saw the swing down. But we did not close below this guy here. Right? Otherwise, I would have been positioning more down towards the lows and seeing if we closed back inside the 115,700. If we started to close below around 117, I'm looking lower second to see if we get expansion into the lower second. If we start closing below it, do we happen to close below the 115,700? If we don't, it keeps getting bought up and closing above there, or it swings this area and then closes above the lower second, then that's the area that I'm going to start to look at and identify. So I waited as price came down, tested a close open of the previous higher low swing. Then I'm now looking in this area on a 12-hour as it relates to that daily area. And if we keep running the 12-hour and failing, you're getting a lot of people that are going to go short because they see, oh, it's going to close lower and we're in a swing downtrend. Well, this is a bit of a counter swing trend trade based on the macro uptrend that we have on the weekly, based on the local areas of interest that I pick out on the daily. And then how does the 12-hour fit into that daily? Because we didn't get any closes below, I'm bidding this. And I did. The other reason why I was confident in bidding that is because on the way down here for the 4-hour, the 4-hour was starting to give counter trend trade signals. Every time that we were getting down into this area, we had a lower low structure over here. And as we were coming into the daily, and then we have the 12-hour here, we swung it between the salmon and the red here. So we have daily is the salmon color here. Then we've got red as the 12-hour low on a close, because I'm watching the closes very carefully. We know the swing is down here. And every time that we dipped into this area, we kept getting bought up. Then we ran one side to the other, and that was yesterday. When we ran one side to the other, we swung this low and then got bought right back up. So we closed below, but on the 4-hour, the conditions where you got to close below the lower second and then beat this low. And then you can look down to this low as the next closing area of interest. And then you look down to the next area. So you're just working your way down in terms of criteria for the auction. And in this case, we did get the closing lower low. We did not close below here, but we swung it at the same time that we swung this low and got bought back up. So what was happening in this candle, in this set of candles right here, and what would I be watching in lower term timeframes? Because I'm not just pulling the trigger blindly. I'm watching in lower term timeframes as it relates to the higher term timeframe thesis, right? So right here at this 4-hour, when this breaks below, it's eyes on. We could be heading all the way down here as a daily target, right? At the last big swing for the daily. So if we're down on a 15-minute, we can see how trend came down, right? We hit the highs up here. 4 hours started swinging down. try to claw its way out. When it tried to claw its way out here, it lowered high and then swung down, swung all these lows. And on the 15-minute, you'll notice that it didn't close below any of the prior swing lows here. So we have even 15-minute criteria telling us that, all right, in this area for like the 15-minute, we keep swinging this area. Now, what's going on here with the chart? Well, as we headed down, we can see that we had a momentum shift. We came back up, nice big momentum shift again. And then we got the setup. Right after this, we had a swing lower low, close right back in kind of the range here that it was forming. And then we got a trend break. Then we got a lower low close and then a move right back to the top side here. All of this was telling me that we're not seeing things close below the 15-minute. So it's not fulfilling the 4-hour. It's not fulfilling the 12-hour. So this is all as this begins to turn and head back up on the 15-minute, we can go to the hourly. And where is the hourly? The hourly was still headed down on this swing. It was headed back up. So this was a counter signal on this lower low close. So higher high, lower low, momentum was still headed up. We also saw a bullish divergence in here between this low and this low here. So we're getting the signals coming in to at the end of day yesterday, coming into today's trading session, that this was an area that was likely going to start looking like if it doesn't break down, it's going to be a bid zone. And then we have the 4-hour that was telling us kind of the same thing. So we were coming down here. We kind of put in this higher high and then swept the lows. And then we're starting to, if we get above, certain numbers, especially closing the low, we're likely going to see momentum turn. So we're looking preemptively for momentum to turn if we see the low set here. And that's where you have to really understand all of the different areas of interest, what it is that you're looking for. If something doesn't break down, it's likely going to start moving back up to hunt liquidity. If something doesn't break in terms of the upside and overhead resistance, it's likely going to turn into a rejection. And the biggest thing that I'm watching in this area for bids was all based on the higher term time frame, daily and 12-hour. So I'm positioning counter to some of these lower term time frame trends and signals because I'm on the higher term time frame, and I'm positioning counter for that higher term time frame turn on momentum while holding the low, because we've already hit the criteria of dipping into the liquid area that I was looking for in the first place. So I have to find that trade. And that's not always going to work out. It's not always going to work out. Price will go against you, right? That's why you're playing the risk to reward game. And if you are at a stage where you're looking at this and you're going, I can't do that, then you're not ready and you need practice, right? So how do we practice? Well, let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. We have a tool built right into TradingView that you can practice with. And that trading tool is called paper trading. And we have tools that we can use to actually help us plan out paper trades. So, and this is how I tell people to start. Because what you need to do is you need to have a trading plan. And you can't, some people just go with like these rote trading plans and like trading journals and stuff like that. I'm very systematic. I have categories for swing long or swing positions, and that's long and short, and then scalp positions, and that is long and short. And then there's criteria for each. So there's criteria that I have to see being met in order to take a swing long position. And then there's criteria I need to see that has to be met to take a swing short. Same goes for scalp long, scalp short. And those are going to be different criteria, and they have to be updated live with where your levels are. And that's something that I still do on paper. So I'm sorry for those that want something digitally, and it's going to be customized and personal for you. You can use a trading journal to start with, but if you want to get in and just learn.
Another term for day trading?
Scalp is scalping during the day or scalping lower term time frames. because a scalp can be a 5-minute trade. You know, if you're trading the
Right.
minute chart, a scalp can be a 15-minute trade that turns into, you know, a 4-hour trade or longer. But it's essentially day trading. Essentially, it is the opening of the session to the close of the session. You have opened and closed your position.
Which
Is
is
a day trade
there are implications to doing that on the day within the day.
within the day. Yes,
Like
within the
as
daily candle.
a trader, you're only allowed to do a handful of those at a certain amount of time before you actually have to identify yourself as a day trader in some capacity, right?
Not really. I mean, if you're
Well,
regularly going and opening and closing trades within the daily candle, you're pretty much a day trader.
right.
Doesn't
Well,
mean you're good. Doesn't mean it just means that you are.
You know, like a level of quality, but I think that there's implications as far as like I know on Robinhood, I have actually bought and sold a stock in the same day. And they give you a warning where if you do it like a certain number of times over a certain period of time, you get
Well,
I-
yeah,
you get a different
you have
status.
you have to have and you have to in some cases upgrade your account. Yeah, depending on your broker.
Or have a certain amount of assets. What you know, there's implications there, is what I'm saying. Like most people,
Yeah.
If you need practice with paper trading, it's fine to practice scalp trading, but you really probably not. You need to learn swing trading before you can really effectively scalp trade without taking.
Yeah,
more.
I mean, to each their own. I've seen a lot of people learn in different ways, but it's always going to start with the basis of understanding the lay of the land on higher term time frames.
Or someone like me that maybe doesn't have a lot of attention span, maybe scalp trading is
maybe as long as your chart is set and you have the conditions that you want to see met, right? Because you're making conditions, and those conditions might change based on what you're seeing in certain time frames, right? For instance, the swing downtrend here, a lot of people were shorting into the support here where I was bidding because of the things that I just explained. Like we're failing to get that expansion. We're failing to close below these areas on from a 15-minute to an hourly to a 4-hour. I'm bidding this area because I'm starting to see some opportunity present itself on the 12-hour as well, because we're not closing below that big 12-hour level on the 12-hour time frame. We keep swinging it as it relates to the 12-hour time frame. So in this case, what I've been suggesting in the past few years, because I used to be very systematic and had handouts and sheets that I would give to students and like all this stuff, but you have to find the system that works for you. And in most cases, in order to learn how to set conditions for yourself based on the analysis that and your thesis, your confirmations, and your invalidations, I would suggest jump in and paper trade. And I don't know if I have paper trading turned on for this account. Where is paper trading? Again, here we're gonna have to go through and look. Nope, we don't want that. I might have to enable it here. I'm going to stop sharing this screen for just a moment. I'm going to share this screen over here.
Oh, let me.
I got it.
No, you're good. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to share this screen here because I have to go into my account real quick here. Because my account is connected, and I disconnect my account because I use TradingView to trade traditional markets. So it's connected to my broker, so I don't want to show that stuff. Let me make sure.
Fair enough.
That paper trading can even be turned on. But there is a paper trading option here, and it will show up in your bottom panel. And this will show you how long it's been since I actually went to go and paper trade.
You don't still practice with paper trading, Landy?
As it turns out, no. Now I will say on new platforms, if they have paper trading, I will go in and paper trade on that new platform
just to learn their mechanisms and make sure.
Yeah, to test out their systems,
right.
Especially perp dexes. If they have paper trading, I will paper trade there first just to see how they're.
Fuck you.
Yeah, how they have their tool set up, what the limitations are in terms of orders and how they're hit and all that kind of stuff. But even then, you have to be careful because when it's on mainnet, it might act differently than their, because most paper trading is, for perp decks is on a test net. So, but it's usually a good feel to feel out the platform, and you know me, I often will be like, "Yo, you need to fix this shit." Like, what are you doing?
That's honestly, any platform that doesn't want that kind of feedback, probably not going to make it.
In most cases, they don't. But let's see. So let's do this. Instant order placement. All right. So let me switch back. I think I've got this set up. I just wanted to make sure my accounts weren't connected to this because it has all my freaking info. All right. So you go into settings, you can click on trading. And the simplest way to get to settings right away is you can either go to the settings button or you just double click a candle, click on trading, click buy and sell buttons. You can do instant order placement. You can look and you can show your positions on the screen here. You can even show your orders and your executions. And I believe orders and executions. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different trading things here. And I'm not seeing the paper trade. Let's see if we just go and click buy. And if we click buy, it'll bring up the trading panel here.
Oh, okay.
And as soon as you have those buttons enabled, and you'll get all of the different brokerages that you can connect to, including crypto exchanges, some of them. There's not, you have Coinbase Advanced is in here. You've got, you've got your Forex, you've got OKX in here. You've got Oneida.
By the way, Coinbase Advanced
Wanda,
is where you want to go. If you're using Coinbase, you want to use Coinbase Advanced. It's like the same exact thing, only way cheaper fees.
Yeah. You got Webull. Yeah. You could just go through it's the API
for trading, by the way, if you're connecting your brokerage.
Yeah. I would just go, if you want a paper trade, you can see the very first option here is paper trading brokerage simulator by TradingView. And then you can connect, you can click it and then have nothing happen. Wait a minute.
Oh, really? It's not working?
Yeah, it's not. And I think it's because it knows that I have a brokerage.
That might make sense.
Yeah, because I've got a few that are connected typically. And it is not going to let me connect, but you should be able to connect. Do you have TradingView up?
I do. Let me actually, and I don't have any accounts connected to it. So I can actually, let me just bring it up and see what I'm doing here.
It's been years since I clicked on this button. So.
What do I got? All right, that's fine. We're just on I'm just on the S&P. I'll share my screen real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll walk through that process again. You can guide me if I'm getting it wrong.
Sure.
So I'm just on the S&P, and I can actually double click to make sure. Then I go to trading. Buy sell buttons are there.
Yep.
This is all probably fine.
Yeah, your buy and sell buttons are just hidden by the Landy bands. But if you go to the upper left there, you'll see buy and sell. If you just click one of those buttons, you'll get the trading panel pop up.
It's at an all-time high. I obviously want to buy it. Oh, wait. Where did that panel go?
It's down bottom. You can, yep. And then you can scroll it up. You can take and grab the bar and increase the size of the screen there.
Yeah, okay.
And then scroll back to the top left. There you go. Yeah, see, it'll let you connect. It knows that I have brokerage accounts, so it doesn't want me to it wouldn't let me. You ain't paper trading. So you can go to any asset or indice or crypto or anything you want, and you can click to buy. And here you can, in fact, I believe they have an entire trading setup. So you can go to the trade side, click on the trade button, and you can see that would be all of your positions that you have open. It gives you a starting balance of, I guess, 99 $1,000.
Oh, I can't even buy one Bitcoin.
I know that sucks. But
But I can short Bitcoin.
you could potentially. Now I believe you can adjust the lot sizes, and there should be a trading menu. So if you go back, if you minimize this screen with the little minus next to the full screen button there inside the panel. So right below the time, 1816 UTC, just below that.
I don't know.
Time. You see the time right there next to your S&P SPX paper trading. You'll see the time. The timer
on here for me to know. I have no idea where SPX trade. Oh, where's the time?
Now the time is going to be it's down. Yeah, right there. So look there. There you go. Perfect. So now if you go and you click on, if you right click the chart
anywhere.
Yeah, I should be able to right click it anywhere. You should be able to, it's not, there's a way to customize this to set your lot sizes. If you just click buy one SPX.
Oh, this isn't tradable because it's actually
okay. SPX is going to let you trade the whole thing. Go to Bitcoin. Go to Bitcoin on Coinbase.
I'm going to go to Bitcoin on something else besides Coinbase because I don't want you to see my messy ass chart.
Oh, okay. No worries. So here, what time frame are you on? 1 minute? Go ahead and click on 15-minute chart.
All right. Yeah, that's the monthly. Oh, okay.
All right. And now what you can do is, let's just say you want to sell. What is you should have an entrance box for how much you want to buy and sell. Oh, you know what? In fact, take off instant sell because this is going to sell and buy in one sell. So if you double click your candles, maybe don't do instant order placement.
I don't have that on anyway.
Okay. So now try to sell. Let's see what it says. So you did a buy? The buy or sell. Okay, there's your trading panel. That's what I was looking for. So now you can say how much you want to buy or sell, and you can click either or, and you can mark it, or you can
so I can change to buy or sell.
Yeah.
And the margin is
margin USDC. How much do you have in the paper trading? It should be 99,000.
I thought it said, yeah, see?
Yeah, so your margin is right now it's just it's low margin. So if you wanted to in USD risk, go to USD risk. Just you can do margin, so it's $25 essentially. So 25 ticks, price action USDC. So that's your stop loss, and you can customize this entire.
I can set my stop loss there.
Yeah, you can set the price for your stop loss. You can do margin USD. That's going to be your ticks for those who like Forex.
Buying one unit at 119 or selling.
Yeah, $25 of USD.
I don't actually have the juice to do that.
Well, you do. Go scroll up.
Yeah.
Under USD risk, and you're looking at units. Click the drop down for that. Click the actual drop down again. For the options, go to margin USD instead of risk. So that's you're doing 20. Let's go $10,000. Okay. So at $10,000, and some of this is going to be chart dependent because of the lot sizes. And then we can say, where's your stop going to be? You can put it above the last higher high. So go to your chart. The last higher high. Left. That's the last higher high. It's going to be on the green candle. And you can see that you have, it's essentially 119,626.
Okay. That's
So you can
the
go one.
that's the swing high. You're going up to that swing high.
Yes, that's the last higher high.
Okay.
I know we have a higher high in this particular trend, but this was a downtrend. You have a
Well,
trend break.
Yeah, I got you. It's not technically a set high or high yet.
So now you can say, I don't know, 119.8 or 120 can be your stop.
That's
right?
this in the price here. 119. Would you say 620?
I'd say 120, 120K even. Yeah, there you go. So that's where you've got your risk positioned at this point. So if you use the long and short tool, you can assess risk to reward, right? This is a higher high, so I wouldn't be taking the short here because price is pushing up to those areas.
Right.
But we have. So
so if I use the long short tool, that's where's that?
That you could estimate. So if you look on your menu there, you have the trend line, you have the fib retracement, you have the XABCD pattern, and then you have a menu just below it. Click the little, there you go, and you get long and short positions there, right? So if you go to the short position, let's say you're going to short that high. Let's say price gets there and you're going to short right now. Like, let's say you're going to, just as an example, let's go ahead and say you're going to short right where price is right now. Just click on the candle on the 15-minute, right? So now it's going to auto populate. So shrink your screen down a little bit so you can manage this. This is just an example, by the way, people, so that you can get used to the tool. Scroll you're on auto. So just click on your price bar and you'll be able to resize your price.
Yeah, I could do it like that too.
So now you can drag the red portion, and I would double click this. So when you're clicked on it, you can see this is a 1-to-1 short position. You can change this however you want to always show the stats is what I would have. Go to style, always show stats, so that when you're clicked off of it, you can still see. So now you can put your stop loss wherever you want, and you can put your take profit wherever you want. Typically, you're going to see a 1 as it is to 1.5. So you want a 1.5 at minimum risk to reward ratio. That's what you're going to hear everywhere. I like a 2 risk to reward ratio. So you could put your stop loss just above that high or the next high over. You see it all the way over there on left on your screen. Put it just above that one, and you can see that you're at a 7 or a 2. Is it a 2.0? 2.5 risk to reward ratio.
Right about.
So you're at that would be like, okay, now wherever that stop is, whatever price that is, that would be the price where you put your stop in the trading order book there. And you would be looking at, your take profit as, wherever your take profit's going to be, whether it's going to be the last lower low or the bottom side of that range. And typically I go a little bit above some of the swings, just to give price room. And then you can just start selling. You can hit sell, you can say where I want to take my profit, and you can base it off the tool there.
So generally I can look at the top end of this range or maybe just under it. If I'm convicted on this being the right entry point, then I can also just set this as well.
You can set the bottom. Yeah. So you can say, I'm going to short just locally right there, or you're going to short to the lower low, or maybe you short back to the moving average, right? Maybe your thesis is that it goes back to the moving average, which is starting to twist back up. So I'd be careful. But this is where you need to get used to tools like this and play around. And it doesn't matter if you lose or blow it up because it's a paper trading account. So it does not matter at all. So first get used to the tools.
So if you go bankrupt into paper trading, do they give you more money?
Yeah.
I just got to ask for it somehow.
Yeah, I think you just hit the button. Like, I think you can give yourself like millions of dollars in paper trading on every platform. Like you could just trade with $1 million lot sizes if you really wanted. It doesn't matter.
Well, it makes it fun, but I think it also makes it not. You don't take it maybe as seriously though.
Mm-hmm.
Probably so. I'm gonna stick with the 99K and see what I can do with it.
Yeah, I mean that's the and it's okay if you blow it up or you have massive losses and come back. It's all to learn.
Right.
And it's all going to be based on what we were talking about earlier.
Right. If you get it right every time, then you're not actually learning.
If you get it right every time, I've got a few firms that would like to get in contact with you.
Yeah, that's all right. They won't need to talk to me probably.
I mean, right now on that 15-minute, I'm looking at, it's got some legs, but if it starts to turn around and put in a high, maybe it's a good low-term time frame scalp as it relates to the 15-minute chart, but maybe not much more.
It just shot up a little bit.
Yeah, and I know you haven't taken a position on this yet in the paper trade, but
haven't.
And this would be a trend break trade, because this is if you're looking to short this into a potential higher low. Because if you look at the structure there, we had an uptrend. We have the high there that this is pushing back towards, but it had a big higher low, had a lower high, a higher low, lower high, lower low, and then another trend break right back to this high. So what you're likely going to see in the actual market here is you're probably going to see a lot of shorts coming in this area right around this high right now. And like it probably for a lower term time frame position, you could short it and see what happens, but it's risky, right? Because the risk is that this gets continuation because we don't have a high set, right? Because once there's a high set, you're looking for at minimum a higher low after a trend break or an equal low on a swing or a close. Otherwise, it's going to push lower, right? So that's just the way that trend breaks work. And this would be this would be something where you just have to be careful, right? And you'll learn a lot by doing this based on all of the analysis that you do on the higher term timeframes to the lower term timeframes. Right now, we're in a weekly area just below a major daily level, and that daily level is at 119,863 on spot, right? So we're above the weekly level at 119,130, but below the daily level, so it's right in between those two levels. So what you're likely going to see is people going and shorting the ever-loving shit out of this, and that can change the dynamic and push this move further. But so far, you're in what, like $500 a profit?
Oh, I was.
Oh, you're oscillating. You're oscillating because it's right around your entry.
I was until you said that.
Yeah,
like, literally.
Well, I mean, the move is still ongoing.
Because I was about to say the reason why I'm not great at this is because I'm in $500 profit. I want to just take profit right now. I don't want to risk the $500 I gained. And now I proved it. I should have taken that.
Well, yeah. I mean, your stop hasn't been hit yet. Right. Could it get run though? Very highly likely.
Right.
Which is a $13,000 lot. Yeah. It doesn't mean it's going to get hit, but it's and because you're in position now, you're looking at, you can go to lower term timeframes to gauge, like, okay, is this starting to get to, on the 5-minute chart, is it starting to look like it might start to head down? And that's where you can start monitoring lower term timeframes as it relates to your position, right? And you can get a good gauge for that. The 5-minute is looking to run that local high. Yes, you're positioned above it. I mean, I would have been positioned just slightly a little bit higher. I would have been at like 120 something, 120, 100, 120, 200. That's me personally.
42
you can move your stop.
I can change that right now, right? Can I just change it by dragging?
I think you can drag it. Yeah, TradingView allows you to drag it. So, I mean, you're increasing your risk though, right? You can you click modify after you drag it.
Right. Actually, I want to do it. So I can also do it just in here, right?
Yes, you can type it out. And this is how you can move your stop. So that's 122. That's far away. You typed in 122, so your
That's
risk
way
to reward is backwards.
Oh, okay. I shouldn't do that probably. Where's my trade now? I can't.
Just go in the and click on the entry there that you have. There you go. No. You're gonna open up a new trade if you do that.
Yeah,
You can go to trade. You see the trade panel down bottom, and
okay.
you're gonna have to scroll it up. You're gonna have to scroll that up a little bit. Yeah. So you see that position, you can click on it, and it should bring it up in the side panel for you. And
is it because I clicked over there? Oh, there's an edit button.
Yeah. Okay. They changed it. There's an edit button. So you could say, I want to be at 120, 200. You're gonna have to delete them. Yeah. There you go. Or 120, 120, right? Whatever that is. So now when you minimize that window that you're in, you can see you had to click modify. That's the only thing you have to click modify, because we don't have instant turned on for you.
That's okay though, because then when I just change it, it'll just automatically do it.
Yeah. So when you click on modify,
now
your stop is 120, 120. So now this trade is going to be about a 1-to-1. It might even be a little bit backwards or upside down. So you're actually looking for more on the bottom side. So realistically, you would take profit in stage. So maybe you want to go to the moving average or something, right? So now you can see that that's a 1.33 risk. It's not a great risk to reward, but it is something that that on a lower term time frame trade, you might have stops and take profits and along the way, and then once price gets away from your entry, you can always move your stop loss to profit, right? So that if it gets hit, it takes you out in profit. It depends on your goal, especially when it comes to swing trading. You're usually going to keep your stop in a stable place. A lot of times if you're scalping, it's usually recommended if you're scalping to move once you're in profit and you've taken your first take profit, move your stop to profit. Usually, that's not always the case, but usually that is the case. Depends on the style of trading and how aggressive you are. So, I mean, right now you're $200 down, buddy.
Yeah, that's all right.
But that's okay. Yeah,
that's just Mrs. Peace Love will have to cook us dinner that night.
No going out to dinner tonight, honey.
Sorry, honey. Landy has me paper trading, and somehow I lost $200. Oh, I'm up $837. Dinner it is.
Oh, somebody just notified me that Ozzy Osbourne just died.
No way, really?
He just did his last concert, and now he's passed.
That was the So that was crazy. That's sometimes if you could plan it out, would you?
I mean, it kind of seemed like they planned it out. I mean, he had his very last show, and then
they billed it as the last show ever, and he definitely seemed like he was in like not probably going to make it much longer anyway. But he's kind of seemed like that for a decade. Yeah. So that's what. That's sad. It is what it is. It is what it is. It's he lived his life reflecting the finality of our existence. In his own way. So hope he made right with it in his head.
Yep. And I just realized that this picture that's been posted of him, his ring that he's wearing in this picture looks like a Stax logo. Just saying.
Oh, really? Where's that?
I know it's not, but that's basically the Stax logo. I'll share it with you.
Share it. Yeah. Send it. Actually, if you have a link, you can drop it in the private chat.
Let's see. Yes. Miss A sent it.
Yeah, like Mr. Copious Elliot Maximus.
Yes, Bob.
Bob's real name is Elliot.
Yes.
I can't see it. I can't see the image.
Oh, it doesn't show you?
Well,
Is it because
I'm
it's a
getting
private account?
Yeah, I'm unable to view that post because the account owner limits who can see their posts. It's only Landy.
Oh, it's just me. Okay. All right.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not me.
I'll screenshot the image here, and show you that a certain flag looks just like the Stocks logo.
Huh. It's not just a Union Jack, is it?
No, I don't think so. Here, I'll show you. I feel like this was taken right from.
Oh, I'm sharing. Hold on.
Here, I'm gonna give. I'm sharing it with you. Just a picture.
All right.
So it's just when it's from a picture of him, or an artist's interpretation of a picture of him, with his flag ring that turned on its side just looks like a Stacks logo to me. That's all I can see. So,
are you gonna DM me, or do you have?
I DM'd you. I DM'd you.
X is. I have probably too many windows open. That's what it is. So I'm not getting updates quickly. Oh
well,
wow, that does kind of look like the Stacks logo,
doesn't it?
And I think it is a Union. I don't know. Does the Union Jack have a cross on it too?
Does it? Bob Toshi, tell us.
It does.
It does. Okay, so that it is a Union
Stacks
Jack.
is the Brits.
It is. Oh my God. The British are coming. The British are coming. Wait, they're already here.
No wonder. Think about it. Rubes, British.
Rubes? Yep. Where's Rubes?
British.
Yep.
Jamie F. British.
British.
George. I
British.
don't know where George is from.
We're just gonna say he's British. Muneeb,
British.
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 You know, they're all British.
Ozzy.
Peace, British. Ozzy Osbourne, British.
British.
This little puppet, British for the day.
Buy Stacks.
Buy Stacks.
Be British. Buy Stacks.
Well, hey, we talked about that, and you're $1,500 in profit. Look at you.
Nice. So you're telling me all I have to do is shill Stacks and everything will turn out fine.
Exactly. There you go. Perfect.
Oh yeah, this is looking really good on the 5 minute.
I mean, this would be a scalp trade setup with 100K. You'd be a little in profit, and you essentially shorted the high locally, and now you're going into profit some more.
Right.
This is why
I guessed that it was the high though at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was encouraging you. What I know about this particular setup is that, you know, there is opportunity, at least in the very low term timeframes, but this is just a scalp. And we'll see if it heads down some more to like 119. I would maybe take 25% of the position at 119, and then you're at you know, a couple K in profit that if your stop was hit at some point, you don't really, you know, you're not losing too much.
So how do I do that? How would I do that?
You have in this case, you can sell against your position, or you can sell a portion of your position.
Why don't I have the whole thing on here?
Because you just have the stop loss portion of the position, take profit and stop loss. So
it's on there now because that's all I can do. Oh, what happened?
I think you closed your position.
Oh,
look at your trade.
I didn't have to modify.
Oh, yeah. It took that. Remember, you set the original take profit pretty close. So you've now banked some money. Go look at your paper trading account. Paper trading down on the bottom. And you should see, yep,
Hey,
104,000. So
$5,000.
there you go.
We can get takeout all month long, honey.
Yeah, right. So I mean, that's the power of. I mean, you just traded with 100K. There's a plenty of people that will go on an exchange and trade at 10x with 10K, and they'll bank like $5,000.
So help
now
me.
They got 15.
So let me walk. So now I have 104,000, but the margin is 10. What does that mean? The margin is 10K.
Because it's allowing you to use margin. If you were to go to Coinbase or another spot exchange, it would be different.
Okay, somewhere where I don't have the credit to.
Yeah, because Bitstamp has a because they have integration with TradingView and you can trade through TradingView. They're gonna have a little bit different of a setup than like a spot trading chart. Like if you were gonna go to Kraken USD. If you go to Kraken USD, you should see for spot charts, or like Coinbase is the only other one. So you can go to Kraken Spot, and if you were to look here, so select any field. If you were to click on, so if you were to, and this is where it shows you the bid ask ticks. USD risk, how many units is this on margin as well? So it's basically giving you a margin account. So what I would encourage most to do, because they have changed the way that paper trading is set up in TradingView, is to read the TradingView doc on it, which gives you full. Let me just pull it. TradingView. Because every paper trading platform is going to be a little bit different. It's been so long since I here we go. So in fact, there's a video tutorial on it as well. So I'm going to share my screen. Or you want to share my screen?
Yeah, let me.
Or I can give you the link right to it. Yeah, there you go. I mean, you can keep yours up there too, and I'll give you the link to it
if we need to.
And we can I can drop it in chat as well, because it'll show up in the live stream chat later. But essentially, you have, what is paper trading, why paper trade, how to activate your account. It walks you through everything. And I dropped this in the chat as well. So you get the account manager, the order panel, the depth of market diagram. That's your main trading panel down there for paper trading. And then you have the trading settings. So you can actually modify the settings right from that window, or you can double click the candles and you can just select trading. That's the main settings menu. You get the account settings here. So once you're connected, your paper account will have about 100K. You're on stocks, you're 1-to-1. Futures is 20-to-1 leverage, 50-to-1, 10-to-1, and others is 50-to-1. However, you can adjust your paper trading account settings. So from here, you can go and basically under the account settings, you can set your leverage for different asset types, which right now you have the default leverage set at 20-to-1 for futures, because it's reading, or it's either 10-to-1 or 20-to-1 for your settings, and you can set that to 1-to-1 if you wanted. Like if you don't want to trade on leverage essentially, and you want to risk 100K, which you don't have, you had to go leverage, right? Because you had 99K. Now you've got 105. You could go 1-to-1 with the full account, right? Never risk your full account, by the way. But yeah, you can basically leverage and they have leverage for how much for the different asset types, and you can change the commission types. You can change all kinds of stuff. You can reset the account. So another way that you can change your account settings is by resetting the paper. So if you blow up your trading balance, you can reset it. And it tells you basically with the reset account button, you can go into reset account and it shows you here. Now, in this, they have a full video. So you can just watch the full video and it'll teach you all about their paper trading. And that's what I do suggest people do. And then you can even get into their virtual trading competition called the Leap. And I think they still run their paper trading competition. So you can even make real money by paper trading, getting really good at it. I don't remember when the last one was, so you'd have to check their website and stuff, but this is a really good way to do this. So, and I suggest that you learn it. You learn it through something like this, and then you experiment with this for a while. You get proficient with it. You understand what it is that you're looking at, how you can customize and change your leverage. See, if I could click into mine, I would and show you, but unfortunately, I can't click into mine to show you, but you can adjust all those settings. And it's really about like, okay, understand the way that the interface works. Once you got that down, you can start having fun. And hey, you made 5K in paper in, like 10, 15 minutes. So
it's easy.
It is. It'll always work out that way, they say. No, definitely not. But experiment.
Paper trading. I should just put all my money into this right now.
Well, here's the big thing that you need to understand about paper trading is you're going to learn a lot about yourself because you'll get excited even when you're in a paper trade. And you have to become dead inside and analytical when it comes to seeing green and red. It does not matter. And paper trading is a good way to condition yourself for these are the specific things I'm looking for, and I don't care if it's a win or a loss. I will modify my strategy based on what I learn about this trade. And that's where you want to have a trading journal. You also want to set criteria for taking trades on the long side and the short side based on trend, support, and resistance, volatility, and momentum from higher term timeframes to lower term timeframes. You identify an opportunity. When it meets the conditions, you take the trade. Okay, this is off a daily, weekly level. I think it might slow down here and head down. I only want to be in a 15-minute trade. Let me take a scalp off of this and bank myself some profits. Whether it's a couple $100, whether it's $10 or a couple thousand, doesn't really matter. It can be done even within moves. So a scalp is essentially what you just did, was a very short-term, low-term time frame scalp. And you won on it.
For the record, that was not actually, we didn't do the analysis. It wasn't a terrible move because obviously, but we were guessing. We didn't do the pre-analysis work for that trade.
Well, it was a little bit of an informed guess on my part, but yeah,
but it wasn't all the way. That wasn't really all the way. There was more risk involved in that than it may have appeared.
Like, that was more of a Landy going, just go short here and see how it works. There's a high right over here.
That was the purpose of that, was to teach me the mechanism of the paper trading, and understand how that was working in TradingView. So like that, we skirted a lot of the actual TA rules, and I want to point that out to people. Like my first trade, I made $5,000, but actually I didn't. That was totally lucky.
You also have my eyes. So what I can tell you is when you've been doing this for as long as I have, you can go and you can say, hey, I'm playing the higher low, right? And that's actually what's potentially going to play out around this high, right? We're likely going to run this other high, this local higher high. If I want to scalp and I want it to be a 15-minute trade, well, hey, we just traded a 15-minute candle in 3 5-minute chunks, right? You took the high and you got in, you got out. That's a true scalp. That's a lower term time frame scalp.
I got out at the right fucking time by accident too.
Yeah, well, we remember you said it there. You said it right at the top side of that consolidation, and that was a good thing to do, right? So this is, it can be done against trend, with trend, and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, you want to know your thesis from higher term timeframes to lower term timeframes and position yourself accordingly. So, like, maybe that wasn't the best trade and you lucked out on it. I also have an eye. So my eye is going, and it looks like maybe a 5-minute trade to test out this example, right? And that's a true scalp. A swing would be building a position, which would likely come here and higher if you're trading off the dailies. Although, like I said, got to be careful above that 120 area for that, especially if we start pushing above 121. The 12-hour is looking to set, it already kind of setting this low. It's on divergence. Momentum is turned up. We're over moving averages. 4 hours looking like it wants to creep back to the highs. It's got momentum to the top side here. It's technically not coming off of any divergence, but it's playing within the range, and the 4 hours showing me, the bullish control zone is at 12500. So 12500 is going to be right around this high right here. So somewhere around this high, it would be the upper third standard deviation. So if this continues to push up, this is likely going to stretch out. We'll see likely 119.8 to 120 get hit. And that looks good. But hey, point being is really quick in and out trades can be done. Paper trading is something that you can learn a lot from, but you have to enter it from the aspect of I want to learn. Not I'm just going to click buttons and gamble, but I want to go in and learn with this. Here's my analysis. Let me set alerts. And for any of your horizontal lines or any kind of trend lines that you draw, you can set alerts. So if you come in here, you see the panel breakdown here. I can look and I can set alerts for any one of these by double clicking on them. And my alerts panel is not up here. Why am I not seeing the alerts panel? Why did they change everything on me when I wasn't paying attention, which was most of the time, to be quite honest? If you right click on it, you can see add alert. So like you can set an alert there. It'll go into your alerts box here. When I create it, or you can just create a custom alert. Nothing is working for me right now because of my lockdown nature of my account so that I can show it on screen. So just know you can set alerts, and typically you can double click the horizontal or whatever line you want. You can custom set price alerts, and it will notify you on your phone and on your desktop. And that's where then you can say, okay, now we're pushing into this overhead area. And this is where things start to get interesting. 4 hours looking like if it closes here within the next hour, especially above that 119, 120 area, towards that 12500, which is going to be our test of, now you see how the upper third started to stretch out towards 12500. And I just mentioned that's the edge of the bullish control zone here. So that's where we have really good information and confluences. Upper third is right around there, edge of the bullish control zone. If we break above that, we're getting expansion to the 121 area. And then we can say, okay, well, our thesis was close above 12500 or so. Now you see this stretching out a little bit as we get this nice pump up in lower term timeframes. Which, by the way, the trend reversal set up on the 15-minute for the swing did play out, which is what we were shorting into when he said that. And it was just a very short-term trade. And you had the perfect level, by the way, to pick out to take profit, automatically set for you. So that was a great scalp, to be quite honest. And you didn't even try. And if you had tried, what I will say is
worse.
Probably, yeah. If most people try it, you're probably going to be unsuccessful there. Mainly because the 4 hour, 12 hour pointed up, ready to go. And we're looking like we close above here. We're closing above the daily area of interest that would set the low as well, targeting that 120. You can see for the 12 hour here above the upper second, that's expansion into 121. And then we're looking back to right here at the 12-hour high at 121.5 and above to 123 to 125, which is our area up there. And that'd be like your thesis that you're working off of for this area. If price were to break to the upside, otherwise it's break to the downside, and we're looking for lower prices, of course. But this was a long one, and I'm glad that we did this, because now I think you'll be able to go in and mess around with paper trading, and I hope that some of the people that tuned in today will also go and mess around with it based on what we were talking about. Form your thesis, get in paper trade, and learn a little bit about it, because we're going to start talking about how to construct a trading plan for yourself in terms of a trading plan framework. I will try to give you advice as best as I can. It's going to be me using my voice. So I hope you all listen carefully, because I don't give out handout worksheets anymore, mostly because they're dated and I'd have to actually scan them in.
Oh man, I stopped printing stuff on paper like a few years ago now. I have a printer. I just had to get a new printer recently because my old one, well, for the scanning purposes, actually, I had to scan in a document, but I try not to print out anything anymore. It just ends up on the floor in the trash, on the floor in the car, or I hand it to somebody at a showing or something, and it's just like they're not keeping it. They don't need the paper anyway. Yeah. Tell me the knowledge. Tell me the info. I'll retain it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I had a whole bunch of digital documents that this stuff was based on, but I used to sell courses as real me. So those papers would dox me because of the same as those courses, because I sold the entire course package to another educational institution that uses it and sells those courses online. So if any of you are out there and you buy like trading courses, you might hear my voice. You might actually hear my voice as me, but it's not my name anymore because I sold the courses. Right. On Teachable and Udemy.
You have courses online that you sold to somebody else. So I could get Landy teaching me, but I'd actually, you already made your money on it and somebody else is actually reselling it to me.
Yeah. And they rebranded it as themselves, as their institutions, as their educational institutions that offer courses online. And so it's not me anymore. It's you're being taught by xyz.edu, or
they licensed it from you essentially.
Well, they originally licensed. We did a license deal originally. They funded the creation of the courses, and now after a bit of time, I was like, hey, do you just want to buy these? Because I knew that they were getting older. So I was like, hey, do you just want to buy the whole series and brand it yourself? And then they said, yep. So I sold it, and it's just my voice. I do sound different in those, so I wonder if anybody would be able to identify them. It's kind of wild.
How different do you sound?
Very different. I actually sound very different because it's a different microphone setup. I was in a studio for that, versus this is just a podcast microphone. Yeah. And at one point I was actually on the screen and you could see me, but they took all that out. Now it's replaced with their brand. Yeah. It's wild.
That's preferable for you anyway, I would imagine.
These days. Yeah. I mean, we're talking years and years and years and years ago. There was not a little puppet wearing sunglasses here. It would have been me, actually, with my camera on and stuff. But, I like being incognito. It's Landy. Gotta go underground a little bit here. Put on the glasses, put on the shades. Nobody will know who I am.
Yeah, I can't. That's not even a Bitcoin puppet.
No, at this point, it's not.
Clearly not.
No. This nobody can. You'll never know the what is it? This is the Viking helmet that gives it away. Come on, what is it?
I actually own no Bitcoin puppets, but I actually do own a Pixel puppet knockoff bullshit one that I was like, yeah, I'll give these guys like $10 worth of Bitcoin or something, whatever the hell, it was cheap. but I don't have any actual pups, unfortunately.
Yeah, pups are still, even now, still expensive relative to when they minted. But yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago now. We're talking about, what is it, 2023? Or was it
23
24?
or early 24? I can't remember.
Might
I
have been.
think early 24. It was right around when I was getting into the node rocks, and I absolutely had just gotten into ordinals, and someone was like, "You should definitely mint this," and I was like, "Oh," or maybe I just missed it, and the prices had gone way up, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just buy this knockoff one that these guys are doing."
Yeah, I think it was end of 23 into 24. Maybe it was like January, February timeframe. I don't remember because I
It
minted.
might have been late.
And
It might have been late December, just before, like just
the
before
mint,
rugged.
I remember the mint date was being hyped in December of 23. So I just can't remember when the mint was, but I remember getting in and minting. And I've held, and obviously I've traded a lot of that collection. But yeah, there's a lot of derivatives. Shout out to Cake Nard and the Little Pups, because that's a really, really slick collection. But that's, I am a Bitcoin puppet connoisseur at this point. I can't not be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. If you love the community and you have a little bit of the project, you hold some, of course, if it's the right thing, it's the right thing. I wouldn't give it up.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a bunch of, obviously I hold a bunch of ordinals from the early days and a lot of the older mints that were going on in 23 and early 24. And, those are now the OG collections, which is, it's wild to see ecosystems grow, especially when this first happened on Bitcoin. Everybody was like, poo-poo in it. And it was like, well, now everything is inscribed forever. So once people realized, oh, wait, you mean I don't have to pay to keep my art on this thing? Let's do it. So then we started to get the explosion over there, which was fun. And I think it's going to be fun again.
I think it will be. And I think eventually they're going to become more and more rare over time, because it's going to become too expensive to actually mint on Bitcoin proper, on L1 like this. Like it really is not. I don't think it's sustainable. Who knows? They might come up with better compression methods, and you can put more data on there with less Bitcoin. But
well, here's the thing. What's going to end up happening is the mint costs in terms of Bitcoin will still be the same, but because Bitcoin is appreciating so fast, it's just the barrier to entry to actually inscribe. It's more on the inscription side, right? Because if you're going to inscribe a collection, it's probably going to cost about the same in terms of its Bitcoin value, but it's the dollar value of Bitcoin is so much higher.
Right. It's not going to be, if you can put more on less Satoshis, so that instead of like 1,000 Satoshis or, 5, whatever it is, most of them are 1,000 plus. You can get it down to a few Satoshis, then it might remain economically viable. But I don't know that I think that the trade-off is you really have to justify needing it to be permanently on chain. Not every NFT project needs to be an ordinal.
Yeah, I mean, right now to inscribe a full recursive collection, probably looking at, if you do it yourself, maybe 0.15 Bitcoin, which is like what, just over, it's like $17,000,
right?
$18,000 today.
Right. But
whereas
4 or 5 years now, you could have actually spent, that could actually be closer to like $120, $120K or something.
Well, I mean, you could get, for like right now, you can still inscribe for the same amount of Bitcoin. It's just that Bitcoin was at like $20,000 at the time. So you're spending like
5 times as much.
You're spending 5 to 6 times as much to inscribe now. And that's, I think that there's going to be solutions to that, but that also means that every single one of these early collections that's already inscribed on here is absolutely going to go up. It's just a matter, because now you're going to get less and less inscriptions over time as Bitcoin's price goes up, because it's just not cost effective to inscribe directly. And that's going to make everything here just that much more valuable. And that's something that people miss, because they look at the amount of Bitcoin that a collection is and they're like, oh, well, it's like $5,000. Like, you do realize for you to inscribe this collection right now, if this one Bitcoin puppet is worth, I'm looking at one of mine here. This one is, well, it's a rarer one, so I wouldn't be doing floor, but floor is about $5,000 right now in terms of fiat. Of course, that's going up because Bitcoin's price is going up, right? But the total to inscribe that collection these days, you're probably looking at $25,000 to $30,000 to inscribe the full thing, maybe less for that particular collection.
Yeah, but how many's in the collection?
10K for that one, and then there's opium.
So how much do you have to get? So actually, you only need like $2.50 worth of Bitcoin each, plus some fees to make your money back. But
it's going to be way more than that with recursive collections, because you have multiple inscriptions that you have to do for the whole, because you have to inscribe the whole lot. You're looking at 10,000. It's going to be more than 250, because the data is going to cost you about $10 per inscription itself, plus the transaction fee. So you're probably I just actually did some numbers earlier today. So you're looking at probably 12 times 10K. You're looking at you're looking at a lot of money. Yeah, no, you're looking at a lot of money, because
like 40K to mint. Really?
To inscribe, you're probably looking at not mint, but to inscribe.
Right.
You're probably looking at, because you have to put all your base traits up there. You're making a 10,000 collection with maybe 500 pieces times $12. You could probably bulk inscribe. You're probably looking at the low end for a very simple collection. You're probably looking at like 6 to 10K to get the inscriptions out there to create the collection. And then it can go up from there depending on how big the art is, right? Like what the resolution of the art is, how much data it is, because you're paying for the data.
So the minimum, most simple 10,000 piece collection with like 500 traits, 500 different variable traits is what you're saying, would cost about 10 to 12K to make.
I would say conservatively 6 to 10 or 5 to 10, depending on the day, to inscribe it all. If you're to do self inscription,
that's with as little data as possible. And
that's the little data, probably lower resolution, right? Like recursive kind of collection. And that's on the low end to inscribe it. And then to mint it, you're probably looking at to just the mint fees alone, you're probably looking at $8 to $12 in mint fees for the data to actually mint out, plus any platform fees. You're probably looking like $15 to $20, depending on to actually do mints, and then whatever the mint price would be. So you're probably looking at, in terms of the fee layout, all that means is for some of these collections that are really intricate and really high quality art, it would cost you, back in the day, to do a high quality art collection on Bitcoin at, let's just say, even just 1,000 pieces or 3K, you're looking at probably all total. Like if it was inscribed today, you're probably looking at something like a 0.2 to 0.25 Bitcoin. So you're probably looking at like $20,000-$30,000 for a higher quality art collection. It really depends. Which means that everything that is on Bitcoin that is art now is going up forevermore in terms of fiat value, because it's expensive. It's got a lot of value locked right there on chain forever. That's not something that you get on other chains, because there's although you can inscribe directly on the chain themselves, but most collections on other chains aren't inscribed directly on the chain. They're using the IPFS and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Exactly. So it's just going to get more and more expensive is really what it boils down to, though. So it's not going to be eventually, unless they come up with something different, the value of Bitcoin going up is going to make the current ordinals that much more rare.
Yes. Yeah, same here. And I think, my thesis on that has been, I've had a really solid thesis on that, and I've been sweeping the entire time. So I have way too many ordinals these days, like from the old ones that I already had and that are in cold storage. I've probably doubled the collection.
When Landy lists his ordinals, that's the time to sell.
I'm probably going to hold on for years, probably another 5 to 10 years, because some of these I think will be so much more valuable, because most of the collections that I got in, not all, but most are above where I minted them at. And I trade pretty regularly. So I will trade the ordinals pretty regularly. And that has been a profitable venture in most cases, because I won't sell it for underneath what I buy it for anyway. So if it's gone, if there's no volume, then I just keep it anyway. So and I have to like the art to do it. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome stuff, man. I could talk to you all day, but just before we went live about 2 hours ago, my wife was like, "Hey, don't forget you have lunch in the oven." It's like,
oh shit, I have lunch too, actually.
It's like 3:15. We're gonna have dinner in like 2.5 hours. I'm gonna really eat. But also it's Art on Stacks. So I want to get out and support our brothers Reese and 300 and GPSC for their Art on Stacks show space going on right now. So those that are interested in that sort of thing, head over on there. And Landy, I look forward to actually doing some setup and some planning out and paper trading over the weekend, reporting back next Tuesday and see where I am at. Let everybody know how I've done.
Awesome. Well, peace. It's always a pleasure. Much love to you, brother. I look forward to next week, and we'll follow up, and I'll ask you how some of the paper trading goes.
Right.
And then we'll start using you as a vector for the audience, and we're going to start moving into setting things up.
Let's go. I'm excited about it. Guys, Landy provides analysis, not learning how to do your own analysis, but he will give you some of his really good analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So be on the lookout, subscribe, follow, turn the notifications on. You can get the Landy bands. It's at Crypto Landy on X. The Landy bands link is in his description. So give him a follow. Thank you all for tuning in today. I am Peace Love Music. We are DeOrganized Media. And we are here with the amazing Crypto Landy. Learning TA. Skills, good skills to have. Not even necessarily for, swing trading or even scalp trading per se. Good for that. But just kind of having a chance to read the markets and understand what to expect with your long-term plans as well. So thank you again, Landy. Appreciate you, brother. Always a pleasure.
Thanks,
and we'll talk to you soon. Don't work too hard, man.
Never.
I think you might. That's all right. Takes one to know one.
Yep.
I'll talk to you soon, brother. Much love. Thank you all. You all have a blessed rest of your day. And check out the playlist on our YouTube at DeOrganized. Talk to you soon.